Okay, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and get started. It's a little past 7:30, so I want to thank everybody for joining us for tonight's Autonomy Quest. And tonight we are going to talk to autonomy graduates, and specifically we're going to spotlight our graduate for tonight, which is Jessie. Hey, Jessie, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Thank you for having me here tonight.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have you here. We were talking earlier. We haven't had a chance to really chat, so this is a good start. And hopefully we will have a lot more time to touch base and chat with each other.
Yeah, definitely.
So, tonight for the show, or for the meeting, we are going to answer anybody's questions that you may have about the autonomy program, about our experiences, just any questions that you may have in regards to that. And then we are going to go over Jessie's story, and we have a couple of clips. We're also going to talk about what is coming up in the autonomy community. And then at the end of the night, we have some free gifts to give away, and we have an invite to an autonomy event that is being run by students. And that is our coverage of John Taylor Gatto's Ultimate History Lesson, and you're invited to tune in to this to the screening of that documentary and then the discussion afterward, which is a lot of fun. And then I don't know if everyone heard, but Mike Nimitz is who is running it, and he said that tonight is going to be the cherry on top of that particular course. So please join us there. We would love to have you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get into it. And I was thinking, Jessie, if you just want to introduce yourself briefly, and then I will show your clips, and then we'll kind of get into your story.
Sure. So my name is Jessie Grenfell. I'm a season 9 autonomy, so that was last spring. Feels like a long time. I'm like in a completely different place, and I've done a lot since then. And I am a software developer by trade at this point in my career, right now leading a team, which is a fairly recent development. I was kind of lone wolf before that. And yeah, so I've gotten a lot of community, and yeah, we'll talk more kind of what my experience was with autonomy.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to start out with a montage here, and if everyone will just bear with me while I do the screen share.
Nice to see you.
How are you? It's good to see
Uh,
you as well.
I
It's
was
good
just
to see
talking tech
everybody here.
nerds. Saw you hanging
Yeah, and I
out.
came to mind. That is
Well,
me.
in this form, it's a super compliment.
No, I'm cool with it. I'm all right with that. That's my bread and butter.
How did you get to autonomy, and what did you find in your first season?
Initially, so I had heard about it, I think from you at first, but it was the James Corbett Solutions Watch episode where it like just clicked for me, like those are my people, and those are the kind of skills I need to pick up anyways, because I've had my own business. Had my own business for a long time, but it was just me. It never really expanded. And then I jumped off to work be an employee again and try to work in teams, and that hadn't been working out so great with me. And I'm like, well, this is skills, and it's also the people I need, because I was pretty isolated at that point. And yeah, like joining autonomy just kind of turned that around very quickly, because I was in the blogging group, which is now the Pro Media group. So I got to meet with you guys once a week and start just kind of putting myself out there in the blogs. I had the mastermind group. I joined Autono Toaster. So I went from like total isolation. At the time I was living on a plateau in the desert, and I really was like truly isolated out there. And so just talking to autonomy people all the time and learning some skills, learning I had skills I didn't know. And yeah, it was all good.
I mean, you're a solutions architect by day, but what other skills did you start to pick up on, and how did they make you more well-rounded?
So what I came in hoping to learn was the sales and marketing, and thinking that I really didn't have much of a skill set there. And then listening to you talk about it, I think I said this in my vlog. I think I had kind of a used car salesman view of sales. But when you kind of described the process, I was like, oh, this is exactly what I already do for a living, like talking to people and learning what their challenges are and coming up with a solution. I just never considered it sales before. So it kind of gave me the framework for it. But just gave me that confidence that I already kind of knew it. And the marketing side of things is also very good because I've got my own little personal endeavors that I've got going on now that I'm going to apply that to.
And what season were you?
I was season 9.
Season 9. And are you going to come back for season 10?
I will be in and out of season 10. I don't know if I'll be there every week, but I definitely want to get to
Because you're
know people
busy.
and jump in. Yeah. So
This is how it
I've
works.
got
As
my
people get busier, they need to check in less. And when they're not busy, you check in more to get busy again. That's kind of how it works.
Definitely so.
What
Yeah,
obstacles or
so
challenges did you face during your season? And I mean, one of your obstacles was getting in, and that's how you got on the pro media team. You had some skills, you were able to negotiate the deal, and now that has evolved into an area. Can you do any of that stuff that you learned just in the beginning of the year, in the marketplace, or is that part of any of your offers, project management or editing or graphics or any of the stuff that we learned during those Thursday night sessions?
it's definitely going to be. So I've got my new job, and that's mostly the skills that I already kind of came in with, but I'll be in more of a leadership position. But I am building up my Myco Mutual project, which is my member-owned insurance. And I need to kind of put that out into the world. So it's definitely going to be some videos I need to put together. I'm going to have to find some podcasts to go on. So those are all very handy skills I'm going to be putting to use in the next year.
Those are meaningful and substantial graduate activities. What pro tip could you offer to the audience?
My pro tip would be don't be nervous about the integration exercises. I had so many times where I met with people and they were like super nervous about it, but between the other people who are just as nervous and then the people who aren't nervous, but they're just really kind. Like I never had one an interview with somebody where I was like, wow, this is really like high pressure. They're judgmental. Like people are just kind of cool and nice to talk to. So don't worry about it. Just jump in. You know, if you're not following the script, nobody's gonna jump on you, and you'll get to know some really interesting people.
Yeah, the gist is we give you guys a framework to learn how to get started. And some introverts and aptitude people, they need all those minutia and details because they're like, well, what about this? What do we do here? So we give people the details, and the idea is you learn how to have the conversation and the interaction, then you make it your own through practicing. And then how you learn, those training wheels never go onto the field. A lot of people teach sales as here's a script, here's closing techniques, here's how you get people to do the things. No, that's a bunch of BS. So we leave that at the side and we teach through the exercises. And so you're saying participate in the exercises because that's where the skills really become part of you, right?
Okay, we have one more clip that we're going to be sharing, and then we're getting into our discussion.
What I really wanted to talk about today was the mastermind groups, which is a feature that I wasn't really expecting. So one of my main goals in joining Autonomy was kind of tapping into this community of freedom-minded people. And that was partially for my own social benefit, but I was kind of hoping to, along the way, build up a network of people in tech so I could have allies to brainstorm with and build this platform. And if nothing else, I'm going to need other people to host these servers. So I cannot do this alone. It doesn't really make sense to even try to do it alone. I need that network before I can really do much of anything. And now, instead of this organic process that I was expecting of having to find that group, I've been handed on a platter a technology mastermind, where I can get some ideas and maybe even some allies. So to come upon Autonomy in this group of people who are accepting of my perspective and understanding, and not only on that side of things, but also people who are very goal oriented and supportive of each other. It's meant so much to me. I'm realizing what I realized as I was listening to Richard talk about the process of kind of building rapport and
identifying what people's goals are and what their pain points are and figuring out a solution for them. I'm like, oh, that's what I do for a living. That's what I do. It's not the sales process, but I'm a solutions architect, and that process is literally the same thing. We don't necessarily focus on the rapport part of it, but kind of helps to have that. And that's what I do. I sit down with clients who are looking for custom software, and I figure out, how does your business work? What kind of issues are you facing? What are you looking to get out of this when this project is done? So I have been working on that skill set for a long time, not correlating it with sales at all. And then I sit in these autonomy lectures and come to realize I've actually been working on these skills for a really long time. And it's just kind of a matter of reframing them in my mind and applying them a little bit differently. And I am, in fact, more of a salesperson than I ever realized. And so my big win is that I sold the fuck out of myself at multiple interviews, ended up getting 3 bids, 3 job offers in one day. And so I could just pick which one was the right one for me. Yeah, it went really well. So I feel like my skills, I've talked before, I already kind of had some of these, but the cadence of it and the kind of like thinking about that model of they're telling me their challenges, let me tell them the solution. It was like very intentionally done. I guess I did it well. So yeah, I'm happy. Wanted to share that. Bye.
And we're back. So that was really good, Jessie. That was really neat because I actually was at the beginning of season 10 when you had that conversation with Richard. So I remember that. But I hadn't seen your previous history, your vlog journey. So that was really nice to see that. And yeah, so welcome to tonight and the spotlight. And you already gave us a little bit of information about you and how you came to autonomy, but why don't you talk about sort of your career before that? You did to an extent, but maybe why you felt like you needed autonomy because you were already functioning at a pretty high level with your skill set already.
Yeah, so before autonomy, there was a couple of years I was working for employers, but for the most part, I actually had worked on my own. I had my own company for about 13 years. And I was like happy with how I did, and as far as like it was bootstrapped, and all my clients were for the most part just kind of word of mouth. But at the same time, it was just me, and I didn't expand from there. And then I had these goals. I've been wanting to start up. Originally, I was thinking of it as a mutual aid platform, and I've kind of morphed to that. I worked for a while in insurance and realized, oh, there actually is, when it's done right, an overlap with mutual aid and insurance, and thought it's kind of a good way to structure it. So I've had this idea of like building this decentralized insurance platform and having like people host servers and connect it up and start their own groups to do insurance however they want to do it, as far as providers and payment and all that. And I'm help building it, like it's this communal thing, so I'm gonna have to like get myself out there. And yeah, so I knew I really wasn't sure like how to get to that next step from where I was to building something bigger.
Yeah, so that's really well. You're exactly right about insurance and mutual aid tie-in. Now, I'm not super educated on that, but I have a slight understanding. Like some people can do like a chip in, you pay every month, or you help out. So did that idea solidify more for you once you were into autonomy and once you started networking with some of the other people here, or did you already have a good idea of what you wanted to do with that particular program?
The idea has been evolving a bit. At that point, my clients were insurance companies, so that's how it kind of clicked for me. Like, oh, this is like a resource pool that people can share from. There's more than one way to do that. So that's when I kind of shifted gears on that. And yeah, I think that was actually about the time that I joined. It just coincided then.
Nice. So when you were headed into autonomy, did you have any resistance? Was there, roadblocks that prevented you from joining it? Did you have any fears or concerns about the course?
Yeah, I mean, at the time I was like preparing to quit my job to try to start up my consulting again. So cost was definitely a concern for me. And like things were like kind of unstable and wasn't really sure. It's hard like starting up a business like that. So I think that was my biggest block. Other than that, like I knew I wanted to come. So I was going to figure it out this season, that season, or the next.
Awesome. So, what challenges did you find within autonomy? And I think that you kind of alluded to it, like maybe a little bit of a hesitation originally with integration exercises, but would you say that was a challenge for you?
Um, not so much now. I could picture myself like 20 years ago. It would have been terrifying for me. And I definitely like just kind of encountered it a lot when I would talk with people, and like people felt the need to be like so like trying to be like very like professional and proper about it and everything. I'm like, it's like relax, like it's we don't want to make it like unpleasant like that. So yeah, it was just something I kind of saw, but I also saw a lot of people like it didn't usually take long for people to realize like, oh, it's just regular people I'm talking to, that we're all kind of on the same page. So
Yeah, you're meeting new friends, really. Um, so as far as, well, actually, could we do this? Could you tell everyone here what an integration exercise even is in the autonomy community?
yep. So integration exercises, they kind of evolve as you go through the course. So they start out fairly basic and kind of a meet and greet to get to know each other. And then as you're going through the course and kind of learning skills, building on that and making it more complex and turning it into more of an actual like sales exercise, and giving it some structure to do so in a way that's effective.
Definitely. And somebody like yourself that was already in, in the professional working world, but do you feel like that the integration exercise continue to help you polish your skills of problem solving for your clients as well as interacting and killing it on your job interviews?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that is part of why I did so well in this round of interviews was it does help to kind of go in with an agenda in your head of like building up the rapport and like going through the kind of steps like they work. So even though I had the skills, being able to um put it into that format, and then also just getting like confidence in doing it. So I just kind of came in pretty confidently, and that like people react to that.
Absolutely. And do you feel like you felt an evolution of your confidence in your autonomy journey?
Yeah, definitely on that front in particular. Like I was at a point, I'd had my own company for a while, so I was pretty confident like with myself on the tech side of things, but the kind of forward facing piece of it, I don't think I was really giving myself enough credit for what I had done for a lot of years. So yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of, I realized like I was good at it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very cool. Well, what else about your journey? So what surprised you about your time and your experience as you went through your autonomy season?
I think how quickly I fell into the community. The way things are structured, like the course itself is a lot. But if you have time, and definitely after you're done with the official course, there's so many different groups and events and places to get together with people. And it just like very quickly was coming onto calls, and we know each other, and or we're getting to know each other. And yeah, just kind of built up my social circle very quickly, which I was hoping for, but like as an introvert, I don't expect it to happen like that. But it's the right group, and it's just a lot of things that there's something that will fit what you're interested in.
Yeah, so you feel like you came in as an introvert and you were looking for the skills, but the community was definitely a surprising bonus for you. Even though you knew about the autonomy community, but just the way that you felt like really good in meeting new friends and establishing relationships with people.
Yeah, exactly. And kind of having that like the communal side of it outside of class. That's the part I didn't really know I'd be getting with it. And I at the time, and I still kind of do really every week now.
Absolutely. So, and I do want to get into the event that you have started and been a founder on. But before we do that, I want to talk about some of the other. So, through the coursework, the standard is the 12 weeks. And of course, you took Pro Media as well. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about what was your favorite part of the course? Like, what really was like this? And maybe you didn't even recognize it or realize it, but like, oh, wow, this is my wheelhouse. Like, I'm really enjoying this.
I think it was the sales, the integration exercises, like that coming to realize that I was good at that. And there was a few meetings where I volunteered to do it in like a larger group, and was like, we're just really happy with the way things went, and realizing I had that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I felt that was my experience as well. Like I never thought about the sales aspect of it at all, but I loved doing the sales. Like those integration exercises were challenging for me, but I really enjoyed it. So that's cool that we both kind of had the same experience in that regard. So why don't you talk to me about the events? So you got through your season. Oh, before we do that, I want to talk about Pro Media. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about the vlogging program, what what you found helpful in Pro Media, and what challenges you may have found there? And was it hard? Was it scary for you to do vlogging?
Yeah, so the vlogging program, which is now the Pro Media, was part of how I got into autonomy. Was agreeing to do that, to help me out with the payments on um doing the course. Because my goal, my future goal anyway, is to like very much market myself, it made a lot of sense for me. So like I didn't have to be convinced. As soon as Leah offered it to me, I was like, yep, that's cool. This sounds like a bonus for me. And it was really nice because it was like one more meeting a week to meet with Richard and talk and kind of pick his brain a bit on the marketing side of things. And then, he can go off on tangents too. So sometimes you get like a little side lecture with it as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely got more confidence in doing those, and got better at kind of the things I needed to look out for and how to present myself. I've definitely been more conscious about since I've done that.
Awesome. So, what do you feel like? And I know you covered a little bit of that in your discussion with Richard, but what did you start implementing from your autonomy experience right away? I mean, I would say one of them for sure is just having more confidence in that forward facing, like, I'm going to an interview with this person or a conversation with this person, and I feel really good about that. But so that's an automatic employing a new skill. But what else did you really hit the ground running with?
Not long after, like the job that I took was a leadership position, which is part of why I took it and was happy to get it, because that's experience I knew I needed
Mhm.
going forward. And I already, I think I was lacking in kind of like team skills, or at least experience. Like it had been a while since I'd really worked with anybody. Even when I had employers, I'm always kind of like off on my own special role on doing my own thing. So having the Pro Media kind of gave me that like head start and practice and working with a group. And we were working on a Kanban board to plan everything out. That's very similar to how we do project planning. I use a very similar tool. So it kind of got me like prepped for that.
Nice. So you were able to take that into the role that you accepted and you felt more confident because of that.
Yep, definitely. That's definitely like kind of feeling better about running meetings and then doing that side of things.
Yeah. And working with people, like if you're collaborating a little bit more. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a
Nice.
good team now.
Yeah, that's very good. So I was wondering about that. If you found, because you said that you were doing kind of the lone wolf thing for a while. So if you felt better about being in a team environment and working and, figuring out like who you can work well with.
Yeah, and I think like it's also like learning that you have to kind of work differently with different people. You have to like learn to like listen to people, and also learn how to speak to them. Like I've learned, I was kind of picking up even in pro media, and definitely now with my team, like everybody kind of needs a different level of explanation and like how I correct people. You know, I got to be, some people I can joke around with them, some people are going to like take it and be hurt. So like learning to like pick up on those kind of things and deal with people individually like that was good.
Do you think the sales exercise helped you with that? That's something that, we talk about in our training. We kind of look at like, is somebody a Ruby? Is somebody a Pearl? Like that sort of trying to get an overview of their personality is kind of part of what we're starting to do in those exercises. Do you think that that's something that helped you like identify bits and pieces about people in how you approach them?
Yeah, it made me like, I think a lot of it is just like being more conscious of it. Like, I think we all have that to some degree intuitively. But like actually like thinking about it as you're getting to know somebody, whether it's for sales or a new coworker or whatever it is, like looking for those little cues, like who's going to respond better to the more logical and kind of straightforward, and who needs it to be a little bit more like abstract. And yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool. And that's an art, certainly. I think that can be cultivated, and it could take a long time to get those skills. But it's really nice to feel, like you said, to start bringing an awareness to that so you can be building that skill. So that's amazing. So, did you have any challenges in autonomy?
Um, sometimes time, because like my consulting can be very like up and down. It's not a consistent schedule. So some weeks it was really easy for me to be doing the course and coming to activities, and other weeks it was a struggle just to get the basic coursework done. I learned not to put too much pressure on myself, because you can always go back and look at the recordings. I like to be there live. It's kind of a different energy, and it's nice to have the Q&A after. But if I wasn't able to make it, I had to do something with my daughter. I just watch it in the next couple of days and catch up, and wasn't that big a deal in the end.
Yeah. Okay. And I definitely agree with that it's great to have the lectures. I mean, I couldn't always, I'm on the East Coast, so there are times when I just could not make it that late, but we have the recording available to us the next day. So it's perfect in those instances. Okay. So having said all of that and gotten a little bit of an insight into your journey, your experience in autonomy, and now being a graduate and having all these people that you are friends with and have networked with, why don't you talk to us about the new event that you have just added to the autonomy schedule?
Sure. So the event is called Queendom Quest. So it's another quest specifically for ladies in autonomy, and it's basically just kind of a support group. I think we're still kind of trying to figure out our structure a little bit, but the idea is that we'll just kind of connect twice a month is what we're doing. And just check in with each other, see how people are doing, and trying to start to be conscious about like, let's talk about what each other's goals is, and then check in. So almost is kind of mastermind like, just a little more spaced out, and a little bit more casual, I think.
Yeah, I like that. That's very cool. So how many people do you have in that group so far?
I think we've had like 6 or 7 people show up
Okay.
in the last few
Yeah.
weeks.
And growing.
Hopefully growing.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, so since you talked about masterminds, that this is mastermind like, why don't you also give us an idea about your masterminds experience and what does that even mean? Because when I was headed into autonomy, I didn't really know, I had not heard of a mastermind group.
Yeah, so the mastermind groups, generally speaking, it's a group that they set early on in the course. I can't remember what week it was at, but that you meet, and it's a little bit more private instead of coming to like the Q&As, and because it's a smaller number of people, everybody kind of gets a chance to talk. So you set up a time where everybody can meet once a week, and then go through and kind of like I was saying for the Queendom Quest, setting what your goals are, breaking it down to like short-term steps that can be taken, and then checking in with each other each week to see how we're doing. And then everybody would have a hot seat. I think we all ended up getting on the hot seat at least twice. where they were kind of the focus of the meeting, and everybody would just brainstorm. So like whatever it was, whether they had a specific plan and they weren't sure how to implement it, or still trying to kind of figure out their plan, but we would just kind of talk it through, and everybody would throw out ideas. And yeah, it was really useful. And then for me, that season, we ended up having a lot of very technical people in season 9. So they decided to group a bunch of us together. So I had this tech specific mastermind. We're all in kind of somewhat different areas, but we at least like share that we're working in the tech field. So that was kind of a nice twist to it.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when you said that it was a tech mastermind group. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Ours is a little bit of a hodgepodge, but I definitely feel out of my depth in the tech world. I'm working on that. So
yeah, I think that was why it was kind of nice, because that we could all kind of understand each other. A lot of my group was actually like font developers, which is a bit foreign to me. So it was funny that I did have that same experience to a degree. They'd start getting into the weeds.
You're like, okay. All right, cool. Well, and I know that Rich had asked this about your advice, but now having been part of another season, do you have other advice for people that are thinking about joining or people who have just joined?
I would definitely think about it in terms of like investing in yourself. I think we talk quite a bit about that. Not just the monetary part of it, but the time that you put in and the kind of effort that you put in trying to actually get something out of it, and move towards a better you. Yeah, I would like factor that into the decision, because like I definitely found some value, even though I am pretty far in my career and I did, I had a business for a while, I still was able to get something out of it. I think pretty much anybody can if they really put their mind to it. So whatever it is you're trying to do, or if you're not even sure what you're looking to do in the next few years, these skills will end up helping you. Like you're gonna, whether you think of it as sales or not, like you're going to pitch your idea to somebody and have to convince them, or you're going to interview for a job and have to convince them, or you're going to interview somebody you want to work for you and try to convince. Like there's always kind of a sales thing going on, and we just don't think of it that way. So getting those skills, like it will overlap with a lot. So I think it's worth it for anybody who feels like this is kind of the right community for you. The skills are definitely worth it.
I 100% agree. And one thing that I think I have gotten personally better at is the active listening side of things. Because that's one of the things that we talk about in sales, is that we are helping people to solve problems. And you said you already had experience in that. But for me, that was something to really think like, I really need to listen better and ask questions to get that information and to figure out the situation for this person. So I definitely think that I improved a great deal in that area. I hope I improved a great deal in that area.
You've done a great job tonight.
Well, thank you. It has been my pleasure. Okay, so that is very good advice, and it's been really good to hear about your journey. Now, I did want to ask, is there anything that you wanted to talk about as far as your autonomy experience that we didn't cover before we head over to some Q&A from other folks?
I think I feel like I covered a lot of it. Yeah, just I've made some like really like solid friends. Like I consider some of the people here to be like some of the closest people I have in my life. So yeah, I mean, it's not something you can guarantee anybody, but it's a really good group of people.
Yeah, I agree with that very much, and I'm happy to hear that. I feel the same way. Um, Met just so many amazing people in this community, so it's been special for me as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is open it up to the group to see if anybody, any prospective students have any questions, or if any of our graduates want to chime in, or if they have any questions for Jessie.
All right, if nobody's going to talk, I'll throw something in there because I have a special relationship with Jessie because I got to meet her like at the very beginning with the mindset course, right? We did a
Yeah.
breakout room together. And so before she was even in autonomy, I got to connect with her. And then I was also the one or one of the people in the mindset or in the mastermind
Hmm.
with her. So I have definitely uh, witnessed her from the beginning, very beginning, all the way through. And I can only say I'm super proud of everything that she's done. And I am so glad that she's part of our community because she definitely is a super asset. And I'm so glad that she's here. And that's kind of how I feel about pretty much everybody that comes to autonomy. I think we look at the new people coming in, a lot of us have been around for a while, as really like, man, there's some serious potential, here that we can develop, and it's going to be great. I don't know if you want to talk about that at all, Jesse, but have you seen that kind of thing with like as you see other people that are in the community and how much they contribute to the rest of our well-being?
Yeah, definitely. So like it's amazing like how much of autonomy is basically student run. People who were formerly students that have now stepped up into kind of leadership roles and all of the various events that have come, I think, become kind of part of the experience. Yeah, a lot of people and people and watching people throughout the course. I'm hoping I'll not hoping at some point I'll go through another season like a little more attentively. It's nice watching people like go through and kind of have like see them have those same revelations and get confidence gained. It's yeah, I'm looking forward to being kind of on the mentor side. And thank you, Mike. I know like when you disappeared, when everything happened in Acapulco, I was like, oh my God, I've been talking to Mike like every week, usually multiple times a week for like 8 months, and then he's just gone. It was a little traumatic.
It really was. And I had I hadn't even been, all through these seasons with Mike either, but it was like he was one of the first people that I spoke with as well. And I was like, Mike, where are you? Okay, we do have a question. We actually have two questions. So, Peter, I see you give me 1 second. But I feel like Mike, Jesse, if you guys want to answer this, someone had asked, how is autonomy different than something like Dale Carnegie? Um, so I am a little bit familiar with, how to win friends and influence people. And my answer to that would be that that is very sales focused, and this is a lot more robust. So you do have the sales element, but you also have the personal development, the changing what's between your ears element depending on where you're at in your life. You also have some more high tech stuff talking about like as far as sales go with your landing page and your sales funnel and your digital asset. And then you of course have the a huge community aspect of it. So if you join, then you're part of the Circle Forum. So that's where people interact with each other, classmates interact with each other, events are posted there, and there's events literally happening every day of the week, pretty much. Tons of student events. You can message with your classmates there. You do the integration exercises with your classmates. I mean, I graduated basically at the beginning of this year from season 10, and I still am very much in touch with so many people from the community. So I would say that's one way that it's different, but I did want to turn it over to Jesse, Mike, see if y'all had anything um
Yeah,
any.
I think that piece of it I definitely agree with. If it was just straight like training on these skills, I probably would have just watched videos instead of like joining and paying for something. It was the interactive aspect of it that definitely kind of was the draw for me.
Perfect.
You know,
Mike, do you have anything?
well, I was going to say, I think there is a program that like the Dale Carnegie Institute runs that's like a like a class type structure. I do recall seeing that in the you know, during my career some time ago, and it was a pretty pricey thing. I'm not exactly sure what is offered these days. That's a long time ago for me. But you know, as what Jesse said, there's a lot of things that are much different, I think, and the fact that you know, for the most part, I think we share an ideology about freedom, and that definitely goes a long way in regard to connecting people. I, and there's just there's a lot of things that I've never saw anywhere else, you know, in regard to the interactions that we have within autonomy that really make it special.
Yeah, definitely. So there's not a lot of places where I could go and say like I'm an anarchist and you're like have anybody even understand what I mean by it, let alone be accepting of it.
Absolutely. The shared values, even though everybody's not on the same page about everything, but you're right, that binding element is absolutely huge. And a lot of Grand Theft World fans, so we have that in common. All right. Peter, hello.
Hello, hello. Good
How
to
you
see
doing?
you again. You were away last week.
I was. Yeah, it's good to see you too.
Yeah, so I had well, I'll share that I decided I had my call with Lisa last week and I'm gonna join. I've just been trying to figure out, the whether I was gonna pay in full or the payment plan or things like that. So I'm
Yeah,
definitely
that's
in.
amazing. Welcome.
Thanks. And so, but I had a question for Jesse because I'm in a similar, I think everyone's kind of in a similar situation when they come in, but I just wanted to see, where you're headed with everything because it sounds like you had your own business and it sounds like you transitioned to working for a company. But I was interested, like, are you also working, like, do you still have your own business that you're running on the side, or do you not have that right now and you're potentially going to build that up, or is that not something that you're, looking to get back into at this point?
Yeah, so right now I am working for a company, and that was largely just to get that kind of team experience. But my goal was to get that experience and get the leadership experience and work in like bigger projects or bigger software projects, and then jump off and do something different. So I've been doing software development consulting, like custom development for companies for a very long time. But where my heart is at is building I think kind of generally long-term anarchist software, but starting off with that insurance platform. So I'm kind of looking at this as building up those skills. And in the meantime, I'm hoping to market myself and get my plan kind of worked out and, build on my technical specifications for how I actually want it to work so that when I jump off, I'm kind of ready to get going.
Did that answer your question, Peter?
Yeah, yeah. I guess my follow-up is, so did you, when you were, what's like the add-on program to autonomy that you were talking about?
The Pro
That-
Media, I think there's a
yeah, yeah.
couple actually, but
So
Pro
what
Media
did,
is what I was talking about.
yeah, Prometa. So what did you do with, is that specifically for running your business, right?
It's for like marketing, like video marketing, basically. So it started out the vlogging course, and we were doing video blogs, kind of just about ourselves and our experience in autonomy. But I think since my season was the first season where they tried that out, it went really, really well, and everybody kind of built up their like video editing skills and their presentation skills, and it was just kind of like a really kind of tight group of people. And I think everybody saw that there was kind of potential for it to be more than just autonomy blogging, that it's really kind of learning those media skills.
Okay, so that wasn't something you were specifically using for your business, let's say. That was more personal.
It absolutely will be. Like what I want to build is going to require like build buy-in from a pretty wide audience. So I need to be able to present myself, and I'm going to have to come up with like kind of promotional videos. I'm going to be doing a podcast soon, and we'll be editing that. So yeah, I mean, any kind of marketing I do of myself is going to involve the skills I learn there.
Okay, so you can use it in the future, but initially that wasn't the, it's kind of more wide ranging than I guess I expected it to be.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was kind of learning both the technical skills of editing videos, but also kind of the artistic side of having, balancing out the screen and how to make the text kind of pop and all those little things that bring it together and make it look professional.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
I wanted to just interject because I teach the Pro Media course with Richard, and the vlogging course turned into so much more because we saw how everybody was hands-on learning project management, having to create the actual media from the vlogs themselves. And because we were teaching them video editing, graphics, everything. We decided to kind of reinvent the program. Now we're teaching people how to build courses in Kajabi. And we have a dedicated Kajabi because that covers all of those arts and tools and skills. You learn how to build in Kajabi. You learn how to create the media that you need to put your course together. You learn how to develop your concept. We work very heavily on that. You learn how to do the copy for it, the promotion for it, the funnels, the lead magnets, all of these different aspects all come together. In doing so, you learn all the different aspects. Now, a lot of it is introductory, but that's good for anybody. Anybody could take what they learn and take it to the next level based upon what they find a passion for or a need for. So it's, a little bit of the art and the utility combined as well. So it is a lot more than that. And, we haven't really put a lot out there about it because it is so new. But, so I hope that gives you a little more insight to be able to understand what that is.
I think I'd add a couple things here, and that is that autonomy is always improving, and it always has a lot to do with the people that are involved, because a lot of people that have come in have specific talents that really then like up the game, and I'm talking like certainly like video production and audio, and like we've got a lot of musicians, which I think is is always a plus, when it comes to like just open-minded enjoyment of life type of things. But airline pilots and lawyers and accountants and stuff like that. And the fact that you get to or to talk to them and really kind of find their level, it really does make it a lot easier to kind of negotiate that outside world in a way that, I think brings a lot more confidence, because if you've talked to a lawyer in here and he says, you don't have to really worry about this thing and that thing, just, tell them this or that, and that gives you a lot of confidence in those type of circumstances. And then, of course, the fact that you're also seeing people grow and improve. And then you're also, I think this is one of the things about the lifetime membership, that as you see people go through those stages and over a few seasons, as I've done, I've watched a lot of people really grow tremendously. It gives you a lot of inspiration, as well as confidence that you're going to find your sweet spot.
Yeah, and I'd like to add to that. Very good, Michael. I'm also finding that, you know, as the director, I'm always trying to cater to people's needs. If somebody has an idea and they're trying to do something and they need resources, you know, it's the spirit or the way that things are run here that we try to bring that person up and bring them what they need and connect them with who they need to be connected to. You know, so like just like you said, a lot of the everything is, you know, organically generated by students. It's also facilitated, you know, by administration, by Richard, you know, by Lisa. It's a family business. And, you know, and dedicate, you know, actually touching people and helping them with what they need and customizing it for those people. You know, if you come in and you bring it and you have all these great ideas and passions, we're behind you. We're going to help you figure out how to get that done. And that's kind of, you know, the spirit of autonomy, really.
Yeah, I will say that I mean, I very much get the feeling of that everyone in this community, and this is why I joined, you know, everyone in the community wants your best interest at hand and is supporting you for that. And I see a lot of expansion and inspiration, like Michael said, in just seeing other people do what they're doing here.
Well, it's inspiring to see you doing what you're doing right now. So congratulations for you investing in yourself and you know, doing something amazing. It's beautiful.
Agreed. Excited to be in class with you, Peter. Do an integration exercise. We did have a question. How does the personal development go in the way of emotional intelligence and pushing through stuckness? And I think that this is a very, very good question, because it is something that I have seen or heard other people discuss, and I know I personally have felt that way. So I'll answer first in that I think that, especially at the beginning of autonomy, it's described almost like some people are coming in hot. You may be coming off of a job loss or some other traumatic event in your life, right? Or you're trying to figure out, you're on a journey of self-discovery. So these first couple of weeks are really about kind of evaluating yourself, checking in with yourself, and using some tools such as the philosophy of Stoicism to kind of evaluate where you're at and to try to frame your thinking for the task at hand. And I think that so you have that aspect of it, but also as you continue to network and develop friendships with your classmates and you have mentorships and you have these people that you're connecting with, your conversations with them also help you to move through the stuckness, in my opinion. And of course, you're also moving with the flow of the course, right? You have 12 weeks of the live lectures and the Q&A. So I think that all of that kind of helps you move through and really get some good ideas for where you're headed next. But I do want to turn that over to some of our other people here and to ask what you think about that. Jesse, do you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like kind of a recurring theme throughout the lectures are those like mental blocks that we can all get stuck on. You know, thinking you can't, you don't have the skills, you don't have the money, you don't have whatever to get to you know whatever goal it is that you actually believe in. Kind of setting yourself up for failure before you've actually even attempted anything, and not looking for workarounds and not figuring out how you can get past those kind of blocks. Just being aware of those kind of mental traps that we all get into and having them named and being able to stop and say like, wait a minute, this is scarcity mentality. I can't think that way. This is a limiting belief. I gotta like push past it. Just having like names for it definitely helps, and that's also kind of a piece of the the mastermind groups is, any of those things that you feel like are stopping you, like, all right, let's talk it through, and let's see if the group can kind of either, come up with a solution or help you realize that it's not even a block at all.
And before anyone else chimes in, thank you, Jessie. That's really good. Good guidance, good thoughts on this subject. But I also wanted to say that you also have Q&A with Richard, on Friday night and on Sunday. And that's a great place to get feedback from him, of course, on, what do you think? What is some guidance here? And sometimes people do ask personal questions like that. And so those are amazing forums to get Rich's feedback and get some guidance on yeah, what do you think? Like, how can we move forward here?
Well, I'd like to add that thank you so much. You're doing a super job tonight.
Thank you.
And Jessie, I see
you.
so much growth. We're both season 9 people. But I would like to add, I think I heard you say, Ashley, in this question, there was emotional stuckness. Is that true?
That's a good question. A good question. So let me reread the question and see what you think. How does the personal development go in the way of emotional intelligence and pushing through stuckness?
Okay. All right. Well, I maybe I combined a couple of things here, but basically, there's a lot of different kinds of stuckness. So mental stuckness, emotional stuckness, spiritual stuckness. And I'm going to add that no matter where you are in your voyage, there are people here who you can reach out to, who will reach out to you to help with whatever kind of stuckness there is. Financial stuckness is featured here. And yes, I agree. The Q&As really just release the thing that is causing any stuckness in any of those areas of life. And so I think there is absolutely something here that can help everyone move forward through any stuckness. And even if you're not stuck, it helps you accelerate into life development. So anyway, that's what I have.
Thank you. Yeah, I second that very much.
Yeah, I have something to say too.
Hey,
So,
Sherry.
hey, how's it going, Ashley? Great job tonight,
Hey,
as always.
thanks. Good to see you.
Thanks, same here. I guess I'm kind of in that stuck place. I could call it that, but I feel like someone can gain something from what I have to share. So, I'm a season 7 graduate, and I came in very introverted and isolated. I joined when I was in the military, and especially learning about anarchy. There wasn't really anyone to turn to except here for people like Michael, Richard, and my confidence grew tremendously. And they were supportive every step of the way. For me, leaving the military and afterwards, I got jobs in autonomy, and I've been working with autonomy since I left the military. So I'm still working on my financial stuckness, but I know I'll get out of it. There's Wealth Battle, and I attend those meetings a lot, and I'm budgeting things never taught in the military or in school. In regard to the emotional intelligence, I can't say how much I've come to have compassion for other people, even the people that do me wrong. And just being a part of this optimistic community, it's made all the difference. And I still get stuck in communication. Sometimes I'll doubt what I'm saying, and then that causes anxiety. But man, I'll say that, and then people will just tell me, oh, keep doing what you're doing because you're on the right path. And that just makes me forget I even had anxiety in the first place. So I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you, Jerry. Who else wants to chime in on that question? Or do you have any other questions? Please feel free to ask.
I had a quick question on what Jerry said. If no one else has any questions, I'll jump in
Yeah, go for it.
again. So you mentioned having compassion for people even that do you wrong. How did you process and learn about that through the autonomy work?
It was something organic. So surrounding myself with people here that just want to get better, level up, it was like a no-brainer. It's like, all right, I like my attention is like energy goes where my attention goes. And if I'm just focusing on there's like this saying what is it? Wanting to do someone harm in your mind is like essentially poisoning yourself. I just knew, all right, I have to stop doing this. I have to forgive them, not forget, but forgive them, and then just live my life. So that's an example.
Did that answer your question, Peter?
Yes, thanks for that, Jerry.
All right. Any other questions related to anything, all things autonomy? All right. Well, oh, we do have a question. Bill, go for it.
Hello, everyone. There's information here that I'm trying to absorb. An actual real newbie. I read through the site, missed a couple of weeks, had other engagements. It looks like there seems to be quite a good unified force here in regards to moving forward in all aspects of what you're talking of. I feel that it looks like it's a good positive process. There's still a lot of questions that I do have. I don't want to take out the time here, and I'm asking multiple questions in regards to things. Just to thank you for bringing forward some of that information. What's sparked me is while we were going through the presentation, I really wasn't not understanding what was really going on. Until you mentioned the anarchist, it kind of pulled everything together for me because I wasn't seeing the actual of every individual that belonged here and all their attitudes of that aspect of autonomy. So that pulled me in a different direction, Jesse. So I thank you for mentioning that, and it might have been a small little concept that you did bring forward, but I can see that what here is happening is again the autonomy, the bringing together of all kinds of minds, like-minded minds, and as Michael had mentioned right in the very first part, again that part of it attached well with me because through my reading. The very, very small little aspect of things within autonomy, it brought a better focus for things. Again, in all the individuals that are here, we are all moving through a fast-paced society
Hey,
and
hey,
talking
Bill,
of the system.
I'm I'm so sorry to interrupt you. We're getting a little bit of a lag. Will you try turning your camera off and seeing if that helps with your
Yeah.
audio? My apologies, okay? Oh, and will you
No,
repeat your
that's
first question, Bill? Sorry about that.
are we going all the way back to talking about Jessie and the anarchist? Can you oops.
Yes,
Can you hear me better now?
I can hear you better now. I couldn't hear you, and I think maybe your audio was distorted. Jesse, was that distorted for you as well?
Yeah, right at that part you broke out. We heard most of it, but you said
Okay.
Jesse and then you went a little garbly.
Okay, all right. So I just want to thank you again, Jesse, for what you had mentioned, because I was listening to the group and listening to the information, and I can honestly say it wasn't resonating until you did mention the anarchist part of it, realizing that there's probably a lot of individuals here that are joined together. We'll call it like-minded in the unlike-minded world that we live in. I guess that's a better way of putting it. And again, as I said, when I was listening in what Michael had mentioned in regards to words and phrases that we've been locked into during this time period of God knows how long. I mean, you can look at the psychosis and the psychology of mankind himself, and how things move forward in that direction of a control mechanism. So I want to thank you, Michael, for mentioning that. These are all little key points that I've picked up on within this group chat. So it looks like it's a good positive avenue. As I said, I'm a newbie here. This is my very first session, so I might not be talking too much. I'd rather be absorbing, but I thought maybe I better say something, because I know what it's like when you're on a Zoom and somehow you want people to come forward, and again, it's that nervousness and that apprehension. So I just wanted to break some of the ice, maybe for everyone else that's here that might want to press that button to raise your hand, give it a shot. I can see that everyone that is here is open to communication on anything.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
Thank you so much, Bill.
yeah, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Bill, for demonstrating. Like, you just did the hardest part of the course. Anyone can show up for a Zoom lecture, but to come off mute, to try to state your question in front of a room of people that you don't know, and to like have to repeat yourself, like, you did wonderful. And everyone here can do just like Bill did, right? We just have to like learn how to get out of our own way. I'm unmuting because I'd like to put some definitions around some of the verbiage. We here take the philosophical idea of anarchy to be without rulers, not without rules. So it's about learning how to be self-reliant and learning how to find your own direction and not being dependent on authority and just trusting unwittingly whatever they say as your best guess in making decisions and coming to judgments in life. So traditionally, anarcho-capitalists get along very well in this group. Anarcho-communists usually can't get their offer together to get into the group, right? Because they're not out there transacting value in the market because of their beliefs. So then the fiscal wall of the paywall becomes a real challenge. So usually the system kind of sifts its way through, and everyone who ends up on the other side, we've got people from all sorts of countries around the world, almost all the countries except like Antarctica, right? Different religions, different values, different political ideas, all these differences, but we come together under the common understanding that we can all learn and grow and improve our situations and change the world from our own lives, because that's the only place where we have free will agency to do so without taking away other people's freedom or telling them to do the things that, we want them to do. So it's about freedom through responsibility, and there are rules and things like that involved with maintaining a community like this. So hopefully that covers all the bases, put some definitions around there, and doesn't alienate anyone who's interested in the course.
Thanks, Rich. Nice to hear from you.
It is difficult to create a fear-free zone of mutual exploration where everybody is respected. I don't know anyone else who's ever done anything like this online and had the superb results that we have. And those results are a function of there's 3,500 people who are interested in getting into this course. And twice a year, we take 100 of the people who show up for themselves and solve the puzzle to get in. And that's how it works. So we don't sell it directly to the public because we'd be overwhelmed, and we couldn't have the culture and community that we have of excellent people if we just had a paywall and click here. So this is part of why we do the Quest meetings on Fridays. That's why we do the blueprint calls. That's why we give people all sorts of value before, and transparency before you're ever asked to like make a financial choice. And it works great. Surprisingly enough, you don't have to push, persuade, connive, and push, persuade, connive, and convince people if you just answer their questions and give them value. And that's the same way you'll be taught sales in the course. So like how we do things is how we do things. I mean, my policy personally is to label oneself as neglect most of your best assets that you're bringing to a situation. And so I usually don't label myself. And, if I had a political philosophy, I like libertarianism because it's non-contradictory on purpose. It actually makes sense. But the Libertarian political party does not represent the philosophy, right? So you're left with, everyone's got their unique situation to figure out what they find to be the evidence of their reality.
Yeah, I'm tending towards a voluntarist right now.
Yeah, well, we definitely don't let people in who are like pro-genocide and ethnic cleansing these days. Like, that's not a good position to back, because history will out those people over time. We've seen it happen before. Like a game of musical chairs, you got to choose a seat.
Right.
Anybody else feeling brave, want to come off mute and ask a question?
Did anyone see the professor in the past week that came out? It was the critical thinking professor, and he was challenged on some student made an assertion about J.K. Rowling. And so he just went through and asked some questions, insightful questions, right? It's basically what we teach here at the course. And everyone on the internet thought it was so amazing. Like, this guy has Jedi mind trick skills. It's like, no, it's just this, like, if you came to a decision by a step-by-step purposeful investigation and finding answers and evidence, it would be exciting to share what you found with other people. And people who are really knowledgeable about the ideas they're purveying, they have that story. And when he asks the question and the person has no story of how they came to that position, it means they're brainwashed. And he slowly just lets them kind of figure that out for themselves. And so I'm glad to see like examples like that are being circulated widely in our environment. I'm looking at his name. I have his name. I'm looking to get him on an interview to see, like, what's his scholarship, where he learned to do such things, such as ask questions and sit back and listen. It's like one of the primary lessons we teach here.
Hey, Bill, are you into any of the speakers that are going to be at the VIP 3 tomorrow? Have you seen that event?
Yes, I received that email. I perused it, and I did see the list there. I'm not sure if I'll be able to jump in on that, but I can obviously see that you've got quite a good amount of resources that you can expend, I guess, at any particular time. So I won't call it marketing. You're showing the specifics in the functioning apparatus of business and marketing, moving it forward.
There may be a couple anarchists on that ticket too.
And they're helping to lower the bar for the audience to do likewise. Because all of us who are presenting tomorrow, once upon a time, we were just consumers of content, and we maybe read some books. And then we started to like do a couple other things, and all of a sudden you can produce content, and anybody can learn how to do what we've all taught ourselves how to do. That's kind of point of tomorrow's conference.
Okay. Yeah, I've been involved with many groups within that. We'll just call it the freedom position. And this is what I have found. I mean, there's people that want to, they want to function, they want to believe, they want to adapt and move forward, yet they just lack the knowledge. And so, as someone was mentioning, I think it was you, Ashley, or you were mentioning during the course of this podcast that it's the knowledge that's lacking, and you just carry forward. And if you have the knowledge, you can give them the information. And once they get that little bit of information, you see that light go on. And depending on how engaged they are, that light bulb just gets greater and greater. So I I see what this group is doing, and it's positive. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bill. We also have a question from Stacy. Hey, Stacy.
Hi, I hope this works.
It does work. We hear you.
I'm saying hi from communist Canada, although I am American. But I wanted to kind of delve into, I've actually been listening to the Freedom Vault, and I'm kind of in the part right now where they're talking about psychology and coming from a psychology background. And Jessie, I kind of I've heard you mention about personality types and things like that. And I just want to say, like, because Richard was talking about not being in that box, and there's some definement, obviously, because there are different, I guess, characteristic traits. So how do you do that? If you're trying to get people out of the labeling box, but you're still kind of putting them in there based by personality, does that make sense?
No, I know what you're saying. I kind of struggle with that sometimes, like that like not wanting to be too rigid and defined in things, but like I think we also are kind of like pattern matching by nature, and there's definitely like some commonalities between different people. I guess it's like knowing when to stop and not taking that too far. Like it's one thing to kind of see that somebody has a very like extroverted kind of personality and that they're willing to chat versus somebody that's a little bit more introverted. But those are pretty like high level characteristics, and then there's still quite a lot of room within that for individuality.
That's a good question, and I was thinking, first off, it's very insightful. So first off, thank you for asking a really good question. And secondly, the references we use, they're kind of a prerequisite template, like a ruler you keep in your drawer in case you need it, right? Most of the time we don't need it, but every now and then we got to kind of measure something. And I would measure something when I'm trying to see how could I help this person, right? And if there's an assertive personality type, and there's a really outgoing personality type, and there's a really heartfelt personality type, and there's a really organized personality type, right? And I say, which of these is Jessie really bringing to the table? Well, she's leading with her heart, she's very organized, and she's outgoing. Could she be more assertive? Yeah, she's probably 8 out of 10. If I help her get from like 8 to 9 out of 10, she could probably do better in her interviews. Right. So I'm not trying to put her in a box, and many of us are many of these categories all at the same time, but we have strengths and weaknesses. So the important thing is if we can find where our weaknesses are and strengthen them, that's going to allow us to connect with people in those frequencies that also are of those characteristics. And it gives us a caveat emptor so we can be better consumers and like hold our ground against somebody who might be a little too assertive and we're a little bit timid or introverted. And it can also like help us make our offer to the market, because sometimes we need to be that assertive. I'm making an offer to the market, and I'm going to play the numbers game, and 8 out of 10 people are going to say no, and it's the 2 people that say yes, and those are my clients, and that's who I focus on for the rest of my business. So it's more about getting to know yourself and being able to connect with other people rather than trying to nullify certain characteristics and put them in a box. Does that help you understand? And does that answer your question?
Yeah, that does help. It's kind of hard because once you get into that psychology background, and it's hard to kind of shift it a little bit. I've been getting more into like Jungian psychology and a little bit of Jordan Peterson. which helps a little bit better where it's not so defined. Jungian is very interesting and very deep.
Yes, what you'll notice is that the Jungian stereotypes are quite complex. So in this course, we just do like 0.2% of any of that, and everything else is very easy peasy, 3-step method, and easy to pick up. Does that translate through? Or did I sound like Kermit the Frog and not Jordan Peterson?
You sounded like Kermit.
It was
Sorry.
perfect.
I got to work on that.
It was still good
Cookie
though.
Monster and Yoda are also like they're the same thing. You just sound like you eat a cookie and then you can do Yoda's voice.
Yes.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Hey, Dave.
Hey everyone. So I'm just listening. I'm having dinner with the family here. I just wanted to add a quick comment on the end here, just kind of re-emphasizing what Rich just said there, but the psychology aspects, of the course are very practical. I think the community definitely has depth to explore things, like Jungian archetypes and that kind of thing. But in terms of the course, it's very practical and brings together a wide variety of different things, including a little bit of personality psychology, but it's with a purpose.
Thank you. And I do have a couple of other things. We're getting a little bit late here, so I do have 2 questions from the chat that I wanted to get some feedback from. So the first question is about using Zoom. So this person said, using Zoom is problematic from my perspective. It is akin to a service like Google. Things are so tainted, better mediums such as Signal, etc., all been compromised. Privacy and autonomy go hand in hand. Do you have a secure medium within the program? So my response is that we do use Zoom. However, there are some major privacy advocates in the community who can help you in that regard personally, though Zoom is the medium that we use for our courses. But I did want to throw
we've
that
tried
out
to use
to
Jitsi, which is open source and things like that. But when we're delivering premiumly priced content, we can't take a chance with deliverables to our audience. And anybody who thinks like not using Zoom is protecting you, it's like I did an interview with the NSA director in 2013. Trying to hide is just going to cut you off right now from getting the solutions you need to outgrow their status quo. Like so we understand China sits between us and our conversations, and we act accordingly. And I make fun of, Winnie the Pooh, Xi Jinping all the time, and they don't cut us off. And, that's how we've had to deal with it, because the other option is we can all kind of like stay in our houses and hide and not connect with each other because we feel insecure and all this other stuff. At this point, they're past like taking our data and putting together a logical legal case against us. It's all just like they'll make up stuff. It's Kafkaesque. So like we have to get to the finish line before they do. We have to get to everyone gets the idea of freedom and voluntarism. Otherwise, they're going to make everybody slaves forever. So put our track shoes on. Freedom is a super marathon, not a sprint.
Okay, thank
I like
you.
to say we use the tools of the enemy against them. And I actually want them to listen to my conversations because they're going to learn about natural law, and they won't be able to do what they're doing much longer once that happens.
Yeah, we occupy the intellectual, ethical, and moral high ground. So as long as we keep our speed and stay ahead of them, they can't destroy that which they don't understand, even though they make a good living trying to do so for a long time.
And I did want to get to another question, which I thought was really important. So this person says that they are 70 and they have been hijacked from goals in life, and the things that they face are much different from a younger person. Would I be helped and be able to help others? And I know there's a lot of good insight from this group on that, but I wanted to chime in and say absolutely. There have been a huge age range from people like right out of high school or maybe even younger than that, all the way up to I think in their 70s and 80s. And one of my classmates this past season was well into his 60s. He had already retired, and he ended up going back to work, and he got a lot out of the course and was able to still have focus on his idea for his own business. So just my 2 cents that I think is 100% is beneficial no matter your age.
I likewise would say we've had several students come through in their 70s and 80s who were very productive, who still had many life goals they wanted to accomplish, and we afforded them with the opportunities to accomplish those things. That goes from Michael Badnarik's course on the Constitution and how to know your rights to Bob Podolsky's 12-week course on ethics. And, if you don't actually understand ethics, then how are you being ethical in life? These sort of things are parts of the University of Reason. They're open to all graduates who go through the flagship course of autonomy. We continue to add courses in there, but people who are later in life generally have reached a place where they have a great deal of value to give because they have all this experience, but they haven't had time to sit down and formulate, let me put together a presentation on this and communicate how to do these things. Look at what Ruth did last season. She started with making some vlogs, and then before you know it, at the end of the season, she had a course. And it's a course of evergreen skills that people need to know today. And keeping some of these older world skills alive is a very important part of what we do, because we don't want to have to reinvent the wheel when so many people have already figured it out, refined it, and we failed to teach ourselves before they took it away from us on the internet.
Oh, Bill, go for it.
Thanks so much for that information. That spark in me is getting a little bit brighter, or maybe it's gotten really bright. What you were mentioning about the elderly people, this is what I belong to, a small group, and this is what we do. We educate them in natural law, first law, law of the land, and they are absolutely eating this stuff up. So it's not the fact of they don't have the intelligence. It's just that they've never heard it before. I'm finding, and the reason I'm saying this is that these people they're anywhere between their late 50s all the way up to their 80s, and they're really enjoying that process. So yeah, elderly people, if they have the advantage and they want to learn, they will learn.
Thank you, Bill. It went a little garbledy, but I think that we take your sentiment there, and thank you for speaking up. Okay, I have Tom. If you want to talk, go ahead and unmute, and you can chime in. You don't need to put your hand up.
Okay. Yeah, I just couldn't find the button. Do I sound okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. I was actually thinking back on one of the things Bill was saying earlier about how like the knowledge, like once you start to like take that in, it's just like building blocks that you can play with the Legos however you want, and you're like starting yourself off because like you just have the weight of the world seems to be crushing you, and you feel like Indiana Jones, and you get those little like building blocks of knowledge, and once you start assembling that, it's just like you're off to the races. That
It's
was just my
easier.
2 cents on.
It's like it's easier than that, but I don't want to say easy like there's no work to it, but it's greatly simplified. Like now that I have a picture of what you're working with, a lot of people feel like that. A lot of people who come into the course at the beginning feel like that. They're overwhelmed. And that's natural. This place is designed to overwhelm you. Do you know why you're overwhelmed? Because we have this thing called a brain, and our brain takes the things in and it hears things and it doesn't know if this is true or false. So we're just going to store everything. And before you know it, like all that stuff's crushing you. So the first thing I'd say is, hey, let's defrag. How about we take the weight off you that's not really there in the first place? And then we'll deal with the reality that's left and we'll process that. And I take people all the time from overwhelm, because overwhelm is a good stage when you have a method to process it. But when you don't have a method, it seems kind of cruel and unusual. And then people end up on all sorts of psychotropic drugs and other things to try to like fix a symptom instead of the root cause. So the root cause of overwhelm is we don't have a method, a doorman to check who's coming into our nightclub, which is our brain, right? And we only want the coolest clients in there. So we're going to have to ask a couple questions. We're not going to consider something a fact or to exist in reality unless there's evidence of it existing in reality. It seems simple, but people have so much trouble with this. And then if you have that, now you're just dealing with reality. Now let's take all the reality and which of these things can we have agency over and which of these things can't we control? These things we can't control, let's dismiss those as arbitrary for a while because we can't do anything about it, right? Now we're just left with the things in reality where we could do things about them, but we haven't done anything and that sucks. So let's get out of that stuck in neutral. Let's shift into first. Let's write down a list of everything on our minds. And then we're going to how long do these things take? If it takes less than 2 minutes, we're going to do it now. If it takes more than 2 minutes, we're going to put it on our calendar. And then if we just start showing up for ourselves and do what's on our calendar, all these things start to go away. And everybody deserves to be able to dispel confusion and get their lives together like that. But for some reason, they want to hide these tools and make everyone struggle. Does that resonate with you, Tom?
Yeah, that was like just my first discovery of the trivium process and kind of being like really upset that I was never told this in high school or college. And then
Welcome
finding
to
out
that club.
later.
Yeah, this is that club. This is where we meet. All right, so now that we have this ability to learn anything, again, it gets overwhelming because we could learn anything. So now we need to dial it back and say, what are our goals for this week or this month or this year? And if we don't have those, it's one of the most fun and invigorating things to do. Where do you want to be in a year? How much money do you want to make? Where do you want to live? What's your lifestyle like? What do you do in the morning? You could design all this and make it happen over a series of weeks, months, however you want to do it. And I think people deserve this opportunity. And everyone goes at different speeds, depending on what's going on in their life. Some people are like, they got to get after it now because they owe the landlord 3 months back rent. Other people are like, they have a little cushion. They can like build their parachute on the way down. And other people are just here because they're already successful and they like hanging out with other people and helping them be more successful. That's kind of like the different demographics, if you will.
While we have a little break, I did want to let everyone know that you are invited to head over after this call to the Ultimate History lesson. This is where autonomy students are playing a final clip of Rich's interview, his documentary with John Taylor Gatto, and then there is a very lively, engaged discussion after that. So everyone here is invited to check that out, and that is a little sample of some of the many events that are offered like every day in the autonomy community. So I wanted to let you know about that. I also wanted to let you know that if you go into your University of Reason after this, you're going to have access to several free gifts. So one is going to be the 19 Essential Skills for Life, also the Anti-Fragile Mindset 1 lecture, the Mindset 2 lecture, which is a level up. You're also going to have access to Learn How My Brain Works, which is the workshop that Rich just put on, where he goes over his entire mind map that he created, what that was based on, what got him started down that path. An incredible interview. And I'm going to drop the John Taylor Gatto link in the chat. I think this should work, but if not, I think you'll have access from the University of Reason as well. And so please take advantage of that. And I also want to encourage everyone here to sign up for your blueprint call with Lisa. That is going to be a really helpful part of your journey, is having this blueprint call and having the conversation with her and really getting solidified about your path forward with autonomy. And of course, she can also help you with payment questions and concerns and all of that stuff as well. The other thing that I wanted to remind you of is that we have the VIP Summit 3 tomorrow. So that is a free event. It's going to be amazing. We have Mark Passio, Jay Dyer, Pete Quinones, John Bush, Courtney Turner, Jordan Page. It is a fun-filled afternoon tomorrow, and we would love to see you all there. And if you're here tonight, please feel free to say hello to me in the chat tomorrow. Also, thank you so much, Jessie, for being here. I have loved speaking with you, hearing about your story. I really appreciate you sharing with us and taking your time to talk to us.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. It was nice. It was nice talking to you, and yeah, it's good to share the experience and try to get people in. I'll say if you're on the fence, like this forum may not be the place. If you don't feel comfortable asking questions here, sign up for the blueprint and talk it through with Lisa, and she can kind of give you a little more like personalized feedback on it.
Thank you, Jessie. It's been wonderful to see your growth, and I'm glad you're still showing up for yourself.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Ashley, is the screening held up until we conclude this meeting, or did it start without us?
I think it went ahead and started. I think that Mike
Okay.
Nimitz was on a mission tonight.
That's what I figured. All right, so we're in hour 5 of the Ultimate History lesson. We've been reviewing it 1 hour at a time each week, and then having very interesting and invigorating vitalization of Q&A afterwards, discussing the ideas. So you guys are all invited to come on over there, act as if you are already in autonomy, and soak up some of the value. See you guys over there.
Awesome.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you, Rich. Thanks so much, everybody, for coming. I really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll be seeing you in class.